With the first light of dawn, a black cloud came from the horizon. It thundered within where Adad, lord of the storm, was riding. In front, over hill and plain, Shulat and Hanish, heralds of the storm, led on. Then the gods of the abyss rose up. Nergal pulled out the dams of the nether waters. Ninruta, the warlord, threw down the dikes, and the 7 judges of hell, the Anunnaki, raised their torches, lighting up the land with their livid flame. A stupor of despair went up to heaven when the god of the storm turned daylight to darkness, when he smashed the land like a cup. One whole day the tempest raised, gathering fury as it went. It poured over the people like the tides of battle. A man could not see his brother, nor the people be seen from heaven. Even the gods were terrified at the flood. They fled to the highest heaven, the firmament of Anu. They crouched against the walls, cowering like curs. Then Ishtar, the sweet-voiced queen of heaven, cried out like a woman in travail, "Alas, the days of old are turned to dust because I commanded evil. Why did I command this evil in the council of all the gods? I commanded wars to destroy the people, but are they not my people, for I brought them forth? Now, like the spawn of fish, they float in the ocean." The great gods of heaven and of hell wept. They covered their mouths. For 6 days and 6 nights the winds blew. Torrent and tempest and flood overwhelmed the world. Tempest and flood raged together like warring hosts. When the 7th day dawned, the storm from the south subsided. The sea grew calm. The flood was stilled. I looked at the face of the world, and there was silence. All mankind was turned to clay. The surface of the sea stretched as flat as a rooftop. I opened a hatch, and the light fell on my face. Then I bowed low. I sat down and I wept. The tears streamed down my face, for on every side was the waste of water. I looked for land in vain, but 14 leagues distant there appeared a mountain, and there the boat grounded. On the mountain of Nisir the boat held fast. She held fast and did not budge. One day she held, and a second day on the mountain of Nisir she held fast and did not budge. A third day and a fourth day she held fast on the mountain and did not budge. A 5th day and a 6th day she held fast on the mountain. When the 7th day dawned, I loosed a dove and let her go. She flew away, but finding no resting place, she returned. Then I loosed a swallow, and she flew away, but finding no resting place, she returned. I loosed a raven. She saw that the waters had retreated. She ate, flew around, she cawed, and she did not come back. Then I threw everything open to the 4 winds. I made a sacrifice and poured out libation on the mountain top. 7 and again 7 cauldrons I set upon their stands. I heaped up wood and cane and cedar and myrtle. When the gods smelled the sweet savor, they gathered like flies over the sacrifice. Then, at last, Ishtar also came. She lifted her necklace with the jewels of heaven that once Anu had made to please her. "O you gods here present, by the lapis lazuli round my neck, I shall remember these days as I remember the jewels of my throat. These last days I shall not forget. Let all the gods gather round the sacrifice, except Enlil. He shall not approach this offering, for without reflection. He brought the flood. He consigned my people to destruction." When Enlil had come, he saw the boat. He was wroth and swelled with anger at the gods, the host of heaven. Has any of these mortals escaped? Not one was to have survived the destruction. Then the god of the wells and canals, Ninruta, opened his mouth and said to the warrior Enlil, "Who is there of the gods that can devise without Ea? It is Ea alone who knows all things." Then Ea opened his mouth and spoke to the warrior Enlil. "Wisest of gods, hero Enlil, how could you so senselessly bring down the flood? Lay upon the sinner his sin, lay upon the transgressor his transgression. Punish him a little when he breaks loose. Do not drive him too hard, or he perishes. Would that a lion had ravished mankind rather than the flood. Would that a wolf had ravaged mankind rather than the flood. Would that the famine had wasted the world rather than the flood. Would that pestilence had wasted mankind rather than the flood. It was not that I revealed the secret of the gods. The wisest man learned it in a dream. Now, take your counsel what shall be done with him. Then Enlil went up to the boat. He took me by the hand and my wife, and made us enter the boat, and kneel down on either side, he standing between us. He touched our foreheads to bless us, saying, In time past Utnapishtim was a mortal man. Henceforth he and his wife shall live in the distance at the mouth of the rivers. Thus it was the gods took me and placed me here to live in the distance at the mouth of the rivers. The Return. The Return. Utnapishtim said, As for you, Gilgamesh, who will assemble the gods for your sake, so that you may find the life for which you are searching? But if you wish, come and put it to the test. Only prevail against sleep for 6 days and 7 nights. But while Gilgamesh sat there, resting on his haunches, a mist of sleep like soft wool teased him from the fleece drifted over him. And Utnapishtim said to his wife, Look at him now, the strong man who would have everlasting life. Even now the mists of sleep are drifting over him. His wife replied, Touch the man to wake him, so that he may return to his own land in peace, going back through the gate by which he came. Utnapishtim said to his wife, All men are deceivers. Even you he will attempt to deceive. Therefore, bake loaves of bread, each day 1 loaf, and put it beside his head, and make a mark on the wall to number the days he has slept. So she baked the loaves of bread, each day 1 loaf, and put it beside his head, and she marked on the wall the days that he had slept. And there came a day when the first loaf was hard, the second loaf was like leather, the third was soggy, the crust of the fourth had mold, the fifth was mildewed, the sixth was fresh, and the seventh was still on the embers. Then Utnapishtim touched him, and he woke. Gilgamesh said to Utnapishtim the faraway, I hardly slept when you roused me. But Utnapishtim said, Count these loaves and learn how many days you slept, for your first is hard, your second like leather, your third is soggy, the crust of your fourth has mold, the fifth has mildewed, your sixth is fresh, and your seventh is still over the glowing embers when I touched and woke you. Gilgamesh said, What should I do, O Utnapishtim? Where shall I go? Already the thief in the night has hold of my limbs. Death inhabits my room. Wherever my foot rests, there I find death. Then Utnapishtim spoke to Ur-Shanabi, the ferryman. Woe to you, Ur-Shanabi! Now and forevermore you have become hateful to this harborage. It is not for you, nor for you are the crossings of the sea. Go now, banish from the shore. But this man before you walked, bringing him here, whose body is covered with foulness, and the grace of whose limbs has been spoiled by wild skins. Take him to the washing place. There he shall wash his long hair clean as white as snow in the water. He shall throw off his skins, and let the sea carry them away. And the beauty of his body shall be shown. The fillet on his head shall be renewed, and he shall be given clothes to cover his nakedness. Till he reaches his own city, and his journey is accomplished, these clothes will show no sign of age. They will wear like a new garment. So Ur-Shanabi took Gilgamesh and led him to the washing place. He washed his long hair as clean as snow and water, threw off the skins which the sea carried away, and showed the beauty of his body. He renewed the fillet on his forehead, and, to cover his nakedness, gave him clothes which would show no sign of age, but would wear like a new garment till he reached his own city, and his journey was accomplished. Then Gilgamesh and Ur-Shanabi launched the boat into the water, and boarded it, and they made ready to sail away. But the wife of Utnapishtim the faraway said to him, Gilgamesh came here wearied out. He is worn out. What will you give him to carry back to his own country?" So Utnapishtim spoke, and Gilgamesh took a pole and brought the boat back to the bank. "Gilgamesh, you came here a man wearied out. You have worn yourself out. What shall I give you to carry back to your own country?" "Gilgamesh, I shall reveal a secret thing. It is a mystery of the gods I am telling you. There is a plant that grows under the water. It has a prickle like a thorn, like a rose. It will wound your hand, but if you succeed in taking it, then your hands will hold that which restores his lost youth to a man." When Gilgamesh heard this, he opened the sluices so that a sweet water current might carry him out into the deepest channel. He tied heavy stones to his feet, and they dragged him down to the water bed. There he saw the plant growing. Although it pricked him, he took it in his hands. Then he cut the heavy stones away from his feet, and the sea carried him and threw him onto the shore. Gilgamesh said to Urshannabi the ferryman, "Come here and see this marvelous plant. By its virtue man may win back all his former strength. I will take it to Uruk of the strong walls. There I will give it to the old men to eat. Its name shall be, 'The old men are young again.' And at last I shall eat it myself, and have back all my lost youth." So Gilgamesh returned by the gate through which he had come. Gilgamesh and Urshannabi went together. They traveled 20 leagues, and then they broke their fast. After 30 leagues they stopped for the night. Gilgamesh saw a well of cool water, and he went down and bathed. But deep in the pool there was lying a serpent. The serpent sensed the sweetness of the flower. It rose out of the water and snatched it away, and immediately it sloughed its skin and returned to the well. Then Gilgamesh sat down and wept. The tears ran down his face, and he took the hand of Urshannabi. "Oh, Urshannabi, was it for this that I toiled with my hands? Is it for this I wrung out my heart's blood? For myself I had gained nothing. Not I, but the beast of this earth has joy of it now. Already the stream has carried it 20 leagues back to the channels where I found it. I found a sign, and now I have lost it. Let us leave the boat on the bank and go." After 20 leagues they broke their fast. After 30 leagues they stopped for the night. In 3 days they had walked as much as a journey of a month and 15 days. When the journey was accomplished, they arrived at Uruk, the strong-walled city. Gilgamesh spoke to him, to Urshannabi the ferryman. "Urshannabi, climb up the wall of Uruk, inspect its foundation and terrace, and examine well the brickwork. See if it is not of burnt bricks, and did not the 7 wise men lay these foundations? 1/3 of the whole is city, 1/3 is garden, and 1/3 is field, with the precinct of the goddess Ishtar. These parts and the precinct are all Uruk." This too was the work of Gilgamesh, the king, who knew the countries of the world. He was wise. He saw mysteries and knew secret things. He brought us a tale of the days before the flood. He went on a long journey, was weary, worn out with labor, and returning engraved on a stone the whole story.